Hello everyone, and welcome, foolish mortals, to the Squatch Talk review of Disney's The Haunted Mansion. Now, if you saw my pre-show from a week ago, you would know that I am a huge fan of The Haunted Mansion. It is my favorite attraction at the only Disney park I've ever had the luxury of visiting, Disney World. I have ridden it probably about a total of 30 times. I love it. It is so special to me. I ride it about 5 times a trip to Magic Kingdom. And it is just everything I love about Disney. It is fun, it is whimsy, and it has a dark edge to it, but it is just lovely. It is a great attraction. It has great mythos. It has great lore. It has inspired movies, books, parts of video games, television. It is a very prominent piece of media within the overall zeitgeist. And I believe it always will be. Like, as long as Disney parks are a thing, Haunted Mansion, Phantom Manor, things of the sort will be prominent and will be a very have very deep cultural prominence. It is a cultural phenomenon. Countless people love the Haunted Mansion. I am not alone. In fact, I met somebody who, sitting 2 seats away from me at my screening, actually, she was decked out just like I was in all of her Haunted Mansion stuff, and we made really good friends. So that is what this ride and overall what I think Disney does. And of course, at the moment, a lot of people are upset at Disney, myself included. And while I'm speaking on that subject, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that the SAG-AFTRA has approved influencers to work on struck work, like to review movies that are coming out now. Stuff that is coming out after the strike, or, stuff right now that is finished, cut. They've had their wrap parties, like Haunted Mansion, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Oppenheimer, Barbie, everything that's come out this summer and for the rest of the year. Technically, we are in the clear to talk about, to review. Just wanted to clear the air about that. So this is a movie. Now that we're going to now with that, let's get into our review. And this is a movie that I was very excited for. I have seen the 2003 Eddie Murphy movie. It's okay. It's not great. It is not the ride. I think they tried to do what Pirates of the Caribbean did and separate it from the ride just in case, because, again, not everybody goes to Disney parks, but a lot of people still see Disney movies. And I believe that the concept of separating it from the ride was so that you weren't confused as to the prominence of characters like the Hatbox Ghost, blah, blah, blah. It's Hatbox Ghost, Constance Hatchaway, etc. And instead they swapped it out for more recognizable characters like William Gracie and Madame Leota and the busts and manners like that. They didn't really delve into the lore. And while 2023's Haunted Mansion is slam-packed with references to both the Anaheim and Orlando attraction, there's a really lovely Easter egg that I'll touch on here in a bit that has to do with both. And while they pay lovely respect and have lovely fan service to both the Anaheim and Orlando ride, it doesn't really tell enough of a story. And that's what got me. Again, I love the Haunted Mansion, and I loved this movie, don't get me wrong. But if I had my way, they would have told a more cohesive story with the ride elements instead of just flashing them to me for 2 seconds. Now, let me clarify again. I have never ridden nor seen a ride-through of the Anaheim attraction. That is something I need to do in order to get the full picture, of course. But I do not understand the prominence of the sea captain. I feel like if you're going to show me Phineas, Ezra, and Gus, the hitchhiking ghosts, that they should have been the ghosts that followed Ben home. That's something I really didn't enjoy, was that we saw these elements of the ride, but they didn't do anything with them. Instead, they chose to do things with less prominent parts of the ride, such as the sea captain or William Gracie, which he is a very big part of the lore, of course, but he has a much bigger role, of course, in the 2003 Eddie Murphy version. Much bigger role. Here he's a side character. He has his own subplot though, and it's sweet, it's touching, and I believe it is pulled from the lore. I'm not sure. You can correct me down in the comments below. But I love what they did with Gracie here. And I love what they did with Madame Leota here. I do have some qualms, which is sad. Because there's two things that you need to know about Madame Leota for me. And I'm going to wait until we get to cast to really talk about these things. But Madame Leota is my favorite aspect of the ride itself. I love her. I think she is the most iconic part of it. But I also love Jamie Lee Curtis. If you've watched this season of The Bear on FX, she turns in a stunning performance in that show. Watch it if you haven't. I can't recommend it enough. The cast is incredible. Ayo Edebiri, who's getting ready to be in Turtles. The cast is incredible. Jeremy Allen White, Eben Moss, Barcroft. Just please, the cast is so good. Anyway, so some things... Those are some things that I really didn't like. The way they treated the sources and the way they treated their Easter eggs. They solely treated them as Easter eggs and not story parts. Most of the story beats, I think, were inspired by the Anaheim ride. And that's probably what I'm missing. Which is fair. I'm speaking from an Orlando Disney adult's perspective. Disney fans' perspective. And so... those things that I disliked, I didn't necessarily... This is sad, because again, so much potential for such a great character, and we're going to touch on something that another director almost did when we get to the direction standpoint of my review. But I didn't really like what they did with the Hatbox Ghost. I'm not the world's, I like Jared Leto, but I don't obsess over him. I don't love him. I don't throw myself at every movie he's in. I'm the guy that thinks his Zack Snyder's Justice League performance was better than his Suicide Squad performance. However, I do like Dallas Buyers Club. Very, very good movie, and Jared Leto is phenomenal in that movie. And there are many movies where Jared Leto is great. Is Jared Leto really the Hatbox Ghost? I don't think that was prosthetic. It's a CGI character, and he is the voice under modulation. And then he is the physical flashback. We don't see him alive. We only see him alive in drawings and portraits and animation. And it is Jared Leto. It looks like Jared Leto. That's about it. He's not really the Hatbox Ghost. It's more or less a digital character, a digital villain with the voice that's been digitally altered coming out of it. He's okay. He's a great villain for this movie, but I wish they had done more with him. And so now that I've gotten my negatives out of the way, I want to talk about the things that I did like. I love the cast in this movie. There are some people who really surprised me in this movie that I can't wait to discuss. And I really like the production design. The production design is amazing in this movie, guys. Amazing. From start to finish. They shot on location in my favorite city in the world, in New Orleans. The opening sequence of this movie explaining how life and death work in the city of New Orleans. I live about 45 minutes away from there, so trust me, I love it. But life and death and how it works there, and what it means, and how death is not an end, it is a new beginning, and it is a celebration of a life well lived. It is a celebration of someone finally getting to rest after a life well lived. And it was a brilliant opening, a great opening. And it's narrated by Jamie Lee Curtis as Madame Leota. which is of course fun. And the first lines in the movie are "Welcome, foolish mortals." 10 out of 10. Justin Simeon, great with that. That's great. I also really like the digital effects here. While I was complaining that the Hatbox Ghost is a CGI character, after sitting through The Flash earlier this month, it's a really good CGI character. Like, he looks real. The ghosts, some of the ghosts, the more minion ghosts, what I call foot soldiers, they're the minions that are replicated. They all look the same. They show up at the end, and they look like they came out of a Disney movie, like a Disney Channel original movie. It's weird, because the human ghosts, like Master Gracie, Constance Hatchaway, Alexander Karkaroff, the human ghosts, the ghost host, the sea captain, I don't even know if we see him, but anyway, they look great. The way they are realized with this blue aura around them, and you can see their skeletons through them. I love it. And of course, it's very reminiscent of the 2016 Ghostbusters. I believe the two films are written by the same people. Anyway, the same team is involved in some capacity, but the ghosts are realized in very similar ways, except all of the ghosts here are blue. The ghosts there were in a spectrum of colors. Haunted Mansion ghosts are blue, which is, of course, the way they are on the ride, so 10 out of 10. Oh, we do see the opera lady, Harriet, Haunting Harriet, the First Lady of Opera. Anyway, that was great. Great little reference. When Lakeith Stanfield, who is fantastic in this, comes out of his body during the astral projection sequence, and he sees the swinging wake. It is so cool. It's like really cool. He sees the two dueling ghosts, and when they turn around, and one of them has like his shoulder shot through and the other one has his face shot through before they even fight. The character design is great, okay? Just trust me on that. That is something I love, not just like about this movie. Love is the character design and the costume design and the production design. It's all Haunted Mansion. Every character looks like they walked off of the ride. All the human characters look like they belong there. It's really, really cool. So now that we've got my main likes and dislikes out of the way, I want to talk about more specific things. So let's start with the story of this movie. Like I said, it leaves a lot to be desired. There is a great central plot about Lakeith Stanfield and his deceased wife, who he felt that he didn't communicate his love enough to, and it is great. It is beautiful. It is acted beautifully. Stanfield turns in one of his best performances here, and he brings his jumpy nature, but that subplot is great. Probably the only one in the movie that I really enjoyed. And it is like the central one. The other one is about, there was one more that I really liked that was very personal to me. But it was Lakeith Stanfield and the son and his father. Now, I'm a child of divorce. I believe in full disclosure on my channel. So you will know things about me so that you can understand how I see movies. And Chase Dillon, as Travis, as the son of Rosario Dawson's Gabby, is great. And he has this subplot where he is trying to visit his dad. And, they make you believe that the parents are divorced. Lakeith Stanfield, we're seeing the film through his perspective. So as he learns that Travis's father is deceased, we also learn that Travis's father is deceased, and that Travis is the last soul that the Hatbox Ghost requires to become truly powerful, not Ben. And so the Hatbox Ghost was talking to Travis in the same way that he was talking to William Gracie through his deceased wife. And that it was a lovely reveal. It's great. See, there are some things about this movie that really, really work. That is one of them. That plot, both death subplots are stellar. And Ben's transformation from someone who is happy and warm and in love, to when Alyssa passes away, he becomes this hard, cold, he abuses substances, you know, he's a very broken man. And by the end of this, he realizes that she does know that I loved her, and that's all that I need to know. And it's great. It's beautiful when the Hatbox Ghost tells him, this is your last chance to tell your wife you love her. There is this beautiful 30-second pause on Lakeith Stanfield's face where he starts crying. And then he says, oh, and it flashes back, of course, and he to all of their time together, and he says, she knows. And he kicks him into the ground, and it's awesome. So again, those two parts of the story are great. Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, and Tiffany Haddish really don't have their own stories. Neither does Owen Wilson. They're not trying to accomplish anything. They are there as, well, I'll take that back in a minute. But Owen Wilson, Rosario Dawson really, and Danny DeVito don't have transformations because they are kind of caricatures. You know, Rosario Dawson is the mom, the loving, I want what's best for my son, help me fix this character. Danny DeVito is the grumpy old man. He's Danny DeVito, which he's great at being Danny DeVito. I love Danny DeVito. And Owen Wilson is just a really awful priest. Owen Wilson is probably the worst part of this movie. I really hate to be that way, but none of his comedy made me laugh. I laughed my butt off at this next person, however. I was laughing my butt off the entire time at Tiffany Haddish as Harriet. Now that we're talking about cast members and what they do, I'm going to start with her. Mainly, if we're going to get into it, let's start with the real standout for me. Tiffany Haddish. You know, who would have thought? And the reason that I'm bringing her up is because she is the other side character that has a real story in this movie where she is trying to come into her real psychic ability, and by the end she does. And I do think they kind of insinuate that she's had it the whole time. She just had to meet a certain someone in order to hone it, and that's what's great. And she's a huge fan of that certain someone, which I loved. When she finds out that they're talking about Madame Leota and she starts freaking out, I was like, that's me. That would be me in this situation. And when she does free Leota at the end using her power, it's great because it completes her story. So her, Lakeith Stanfield, and Chase Dillon have great subplots, great stories. The other cast members fall very short. Now I want to talk about one other cast member while we're discussing this because I was really shocked at Jamie Lee Curtis as Madame Leota. The first two scenes that she is in, we don't see her in the first, it's just narration. She sounds like Jamie Lee Curtis doing a very gravitas, tale of a rat, you know, Madame Leota voice, which is great. I loved that. Second scene, she's doing the very same thing, but we see her and she's realized very beautifully. The crystal ball and the effect within it and the way they've got her face and the way she looks, her makeup and hair are great, even though her hair is CG. But she does look great. And then she comes back in the very end of the movie, and after she's released, she's speaking in a Russian accent. The accent was not there in the first two scenes, and it was in the last two scenes with her, and it really made no sense. I was really disappointed, and whether that's a director note or a writing note or a Jamie Lee Curtis note, who let that happen? It was not good. I love her. She is one of my favorite actresses. Not in this. Again, when I look at that and when I look at the art that they put up of Madame Leota, I have always seen Meryl Streep. Always. And I kind of feel like Meryl Streep would have been a great pick here. Before the movie, I was like, okay, Jamie Lee Curtis might be a better pick than Meryl Streep because she is a horror icon. She is the final girl. And she's a great actress, right? Well, yes, she's an Oscar winner. She is a great actress. Something happened here. Miscommunication. a character misunderstanding. Something happened, and I don't know what. I'll be interested to see if they come out after this all passes, after the WGA strikes and the SAG-AFTRA strikes, if they ever end. You know, studios kind of suck right now. But if we ever get more information on this, I would love to know what happened there and where there was a miscommunication between the latter half and the former half of her scenes. So while we're talking about maybe that's a director issue, let's go ahead and talk about Justin Simien. Now, Justin Simien is the director of multiple things. Dear White People, which is great. He directed that. And he was going to direct, I believe, something for Star Wars, maybe? He had a project in development recently that he just walked away from, and I can't remember for the life of me. It's a Marvel or a Star Wars project, and I was kind of shocked. I was like, uh-oh, that might not be good. Oh, Lando! Star Wars! He walked away from Lando. Interesting. But instead we got more involvement from Donald Glover, so that might be fantastic. But Justin Simien here shows a very competent ability to direct and a very competent ability to understand how this works. I have only seen his TV work, and as a movie director, he is fantastic. The production design, the angles, the way this movie is shot, it is so old horror and so Haunted Mansion. There is a scene where they pan across the empty ballroom, but you are at the angle that the Doom buggy passes the ballroom in the ride. So it's the same feel, and it's beautiful. It's great. I really like Justin Simien's work here. I just wonder if his communication with some of his actors fell through, which happens to the best of the best. There are great movies with awful performances, and this is one of them, I believe. It's not a beautiful, fantastic, awesome movie, but it's a pretty great movie. I enjoyed it. And now, after the director, let's move into design aspects. I've already said quite a few times that the production design is great. You literally feel like you stepped out of your Doom buggy and are exploring the ride. The exterior of the main mansion, Gabby Rosario Dawson's house, is the Anaheim ride, but it's bigger. They have extended the sides, made it wider, made it look bigger, fuller, but you can very much so tell what it's inspired by. And then they go and visit Master Crump, the Hatbox Ghost. They go and visit his house, and his house is the Orlando Haunted Mansion, owned by Dan Levy and Winona Ryder. Best scene in the movie, when Dan Levy gets on that piano and plays Small World. I lost my mind. Super funny. Really, really great. Is that a hint at Disney's next ride movie? I'm kidding. I think they could do that, but should they? I don't know. But anyway, the design of everything, from the set to the costumes, every character has a color. Ben's color is purple. Gabby is kind of brights, actually. She's multiple, but she's brights and blues and oranges, and Travis is grays, and Harriet, Tiffany Haddish is yellows and browns and golds. Owen Wilson is in all black. Madame Leota is in rose gold and pink, and then her crystal ball, she's in blues. Master Crump, Alistair Crump, is in all black. Danny DeVito is also in all gray. They all have very distinct costume colors, but multiple different shades, multiple different patterns. It's really fun costuming here. And the ghosts look fantastic. The costumes on the ghosts are ripped straight out of the ride. Very, very well done. And the sound and music here, most of the score is comprised of Grim Grinning Ghosts. And that was fun. That's one thing I don't like about it, is you don't see the bus sing it. I don't know why. We don't get a bit where there is anyone singing the song in this movie, which, okay, albeit. That's fine. But continuing to talk about the design, it really is just something to behold. This and Barbie are two, and Oppenheimer are three in a row of great production design through and through and through. So wonderful. And, you know, let's move into the last section where I just kind of talk about my overall thoughts. So, you know, Disney's Haunted Mansion is a remake, right? And it is a remake that is thankfully better than its predecessor, but not by a lot. You know, it's better, but it could be so much more. I needed more story. I needed more of these characters. I feel like I needed a bit more time with Ben and Alyssa. And I kind of feel like, and don't take this the wrong way, because I promise you I mean it I feel like this was a better ending for his character kind of way. But I do kind of feel like Ben may be deciding to go with Crump, but stay, or maybe Ben defeated Crump, but lost his life, right? He sacrifices himself for Travis, but because of his love for his wife or whatever, he defeats Crump in the afterlife. That would have been fun. We get to see that heightened reality that Guillermo del Toro talked about. That movie would have been great. Anyway, but having Ben be a ghost in the mansion at the end, I kind of feel like that fit his character a bit more, and they didn't go that route, which is still great. And the fact that he ends with Gabby and being a father figure to Travis is sweet. And I really did like his story arc that they went with, and I don't think I would really change it if given the chance. That was just something that I kind of liked too, was having Ben end as a ghost. So overall, Haunted Mansion is a fun movie trip filled with tons of attention to detail, tons of laughs and spooks for the little ones, but with a stellar leading cast and a stellar production idea in mind and concept in mind. It falls a little short in the story aspect, falls a little short in some other areas, but overall, Haunted Mansion is what we wanted it to be, and it respects its predecessor. It respects the rides it's based on. It respects Walt Disney's vision of the ride, and it stays true to the original intention of being both scary and fun. So I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I had a great time. Would I watch it every Halloween? Probably not. I would probably alternate off and on between actually both of them. One year watch the Eddie Murphy, one year watch the Lakeith Stanfield one. It's really not that great of a competition, and you know, had a ball. So that was a pun, you know, had a ball. But thank you guys for sticking here with me for 30 minutes to discuss Haunted Mansion. I am so glad this movie is finally here for us all to see, and that it's actually pretty decent. So with that, I've been the NerdSquatch, Jay, and I want to remind all of you to like, follow, subscribe to all of Bearded Bear Entertainment across YouTube, and to Squatch Talk across social medias, and Red Talk Cosplay across social medias. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, on all those places. Links down below. And thanks again, everybody. Much love, and stay strange. I am out of here.